Welcome to Killer Content with Leslie and JT, episode 1. Hey guys, everybody, welcome to our first edition, Leslie, of well,
Killer
not first edition.
content under the new channel.
Well, under the new platform, like the new whole system that we're running here. Like she's got her own show. She's got special time every other month that she gets to host her show.
Every month.
Every month, sorry, and not deal with JT as much, right? But
I think that's as much as I can do with you, just once a month.
Yeah, no, it's all right. You've already dealt with me once this week, so you're gonna have to put up with me again. So, unfortunately, but yeah, guys, welcome to the new edition of Killer Content. Leslie, her favorite segment of Late Night Chat Network, guys, and yeah. So I just wanted to say before we get into everything that I hope everybody's enjoying all the killer content that we're putting out. So this is some new, maybe improved. We'll see how it works. We'll see how it doesn't work now, Leslie, and we'll see how it goes. But Leslie's literally brought her own show to the show. I told her to bring a segment, and she brought a show. So here she is, guys. And this is great.
That's me, balls to the wall.
Balls to the wall. Yeah, that's it. Not just Leslie stats. It's Leslie balls to the walls too. That's a good way to get it started. Yes, and guys, don't forget to subscribe to my boy Neekster at the Late Night Collectors Community, guys. He's doing a great job over there. Everything from cracking packs to all the comic stuff, all the collecting stuff. Anything you want to see that was on Late Night Chat Network is going to move over to that YouTube channel. Unfortunately, I'd like to put the link up into the chat tonight, guys, but I don't know if I can. So hopefully, with Mr. Community up there, he's going to be able to maybe post that in there for you guys to click on and subscribe. So make sure you guys do that because we gotta support us, our other channel, man. It's the way it goes, man. We all do our best at supporting each other and doing our best at helping everything move along slowly. We do stuff that we enjoy, Leslie, no? And yeah, I mean, you can see the stuff that Nico has there. He's gonna have a shitload of work for you guys. A shitload of viewing for you guys to go through. So it's gonna be fun. So everybody, make sure to subscribe. And he's actually gonna have a new episode of Late Night Collectors. That's the channel, guys. I apologize. He's going to have a new episode of Comic Shop Talk tomorrow uploaded. So that'll be good with Nico and Chris. So I hope you guys are ready for that tomorrow. That'll be a great show. And
thanks, Rob.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, we'll have them the following day on Sunday, guys. Back on the Late Night Chat episode with JT, man. That'll be crazy. It'll be like a reuniting of the two.
Reunited and it feels so good. You need to put that as your intro song.
Maybe we'll have you come on and sing it to us. How about that?
No, man, I can't sing.
Oh, you did a pretty good job right there. So now, yeah, like we said, guys, it's been a great time doing the shows with Leslie here. So now you'll find these, like I said, I'm pretty sure under all the you'll find all these new episodes uploaded after they appear live on the Late Night Chat Late Night Chat Network. You just give me all these friggin' names mixed up now, guys. It's been a long week. Bear with me, and yeah. I don't know if Leslie will be able to put up with me. She's already had to put up with me till like 3:30 in the morning one morning. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, nevertheless, Leslie, how are you liking this whole new segment part, new show? Actually, not segment. I keep saying, but new show. How you liking this whole different thing? I mean, it's a first. It'll be our first run. It's just like doing it all over again. But I mean, honestly, it's just gonna be like we always do, have a great time, talk about some heavy duty research and stats that Leslie brings up for us on a lot of these killers that she brings in. And there's quite a few, to be honest. I mean, I don't know where she keeps popping these ones out of. So it's
Oh, I
really
got
weird.
content for years.
Well, I believe it. I believe it. I
No,
actually had.
Christmas was good to me actually because I got someone gave me brother-in-law gave me a book
Mhm.
of 150 serial killers. Now, if I do the math, if I do 12 a year, because there's 12 months and I do them once a month, I got content forever. Never mind the simple fact that half of the ones that I did aren't even in the book. There's
I was gonna say.
even more. So
I was gonna say. I don't think this one here. I don't think this one here is in the book. Is
it's in
it?
the book. Yeah.
Oh, it is. Hey, I didn't think it
Yeah.
would have made. I mean, maybe it would have. I guess because of the time and the era that it took place in. So maybe I could see that happening. But yeah, I didn't know it was in the actual book there. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
you're gonna have to have
it's
me
like it's
an
an
index.
encyclopedia of serial killers.
Yeah, you're gonna have to snapshot me, or sorry, take a picture of it for me and send me,
Yeah, I'll
just
post
the
it on
index.
I'll post it on our page. Like
Yeah, just the index.
yeah.
We
So
can we can actually find out by doing that. We can find out who'd want to join us in what show, and who'd want to join on what show, right? Like, I mean, you never know. One of those
you never
killers
know.
might interest one of our co-hosts and stuff to want to join you, right? Like we
Oh,
did
well,
have
here's
links.
an interesting tidbit fact about this one before we get into it.
What's that?
Um, he didn't allow any interviews except for one girl from Montreal. She's a previous rape and assault victim in her teens, and
Yeah,
she dedicated her life to contacting and interviewing serial killers. And she's the only one he's ever done an interview with.
wow, eh?
Yeah, you can find it on YouTube. I mean, it wasn't like to me, I think she could have done a better job. I mean, like, especially since he doesn't talk to anybody else,
Yeah,
right? But,
we
like,
can
I
always
mean,
share that link.
I would have had a
And
gazillion other fucking questions to ask besides, well, would you kill me? And his response was, no, I like you. You're okay.
yeah, you're okay as long as he says
And
you're okay.
if
I
I kill
believe
you,
you.
they're going to
Yeah.
take away. And he also said, if I kill you, they're going to take my rights here in jail away. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah.
what?
So,
Honestly, maybe we can once we reload this, once this up is up and reposted, we can share that link, maybe that YouTube link with everybody so they
it's
can
a
see.
really long documentary,
You
and
never
it's
know.
not.
People might want to.
Yeah, yeah. I had an issue with the few documentaries that I did watch on this guy.
Okay.
My biggest issue. Did you watch the one on Netflix that just came out on?
Yeah,
On
I didn't get to finish the last one, which fucking sucks because I just, you know what, I tried to get it in there and I just couldn't keep my eyes open.
Yeah.
I had a
So
hard time.
here's what bothered me about it. Hi, Evan.
There you
Um,
go. Hey Evan.
Here's what bothered me about it. What
I'm
bothered
here.
me about the documentary that on this Times Square killer on Netflix was that they focused, I think, too much around the era and time.
I did notice that.
Did you notice that instead
I
of
didn't
the
realize
detail
how
of the
bad
victims?
that
You
time
didn't know
was.
that Times Square was like that back in the
I mean,
60s and the 70s?
I know it was rough, but I didn't know it was like
Oh yeah,
basically
it
it's
was
all like little
bad.
Vegas,
Oh
perverted
no, no,
Vegas,
no!
right?
This wasn't like Vegas because there was no casinos. Okay,
No, no,
this
no,
was
I get it, but like it's prefer
this was like live
slot
sex
machine.
shows and like
Yeah,
all in Times Square. It was like Times Square was like the place that you didn't want to go to in New York City
yeah,
during the 60s and the 70s and the 80s because
yeah.
it was so high on crime. It was like
Drugs.
drugs because of the prostitution, right? Well, you can't really say that because look, in Amsterdam, they have the red light district and you don't see
Mhm.
that kind of shit and everything's legal, right?
Yeah,
I mean, like it's low on
maybe they're
crime.
just smart about stuff.
People are just smarter in Europe about stuff. It's like Americans that like to take everything, well, no offense to any Americans, but like you kind of like take your freedom that you so much long for and don't know how to be responsible with it.
Yeah,
Like
you go overboard, right?
well, yeah, I mean, like, I'm all for freedom, yeah, but be responsible for it. Have a brain about it. Like, okay, yeah, sure, everybody needs a gun, great. Like, but how many of you are really responsible with it? right?
Yeah, no, I know.
Like
Totally
no
get you.
other place in the world besides the US has as much school shootings
Well,
as the US,
yeah. We
right?
can get
So
into
I
one
mean,
of
like,
those one day. That could be really
yeah, that'll be an interesting discussion. I have a lot of opinions on that as well. But yeah, so
being
it's
a
like,
parent, right, and stuff, and figuring that all out. I can only imagine, like with that kind of stuff, what you think of in your head when you see something like that on the television. You know?
oh my gosh, it's the scariest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Scariest thing in the world is to send your kid to school where they're supposed to be just as safe there as they are at home with you.
Yeah.
And boom, like they get shot and killed because
Somebody had a
per
bad
you,
day.
someone had a bad day. Yeah.
That's really basically what it boils down to. I mean, yeah, okay, they're
Yeah,
bullied.
pretty much.
I mean, but most of
Pretty
it is
much.
just they just had a bad day. They went in there and it was a bad day, and they just went up and just started doing whatever they had to do. It's crazy. I know what you're saying. I totally get it.
Yeah.
I'm not really into the whole freedom for the guns thing, but I
I'm
mean,
not a
I've
pro-gun
never,
person either.
yeah,
I understand where they're coming from, but what a lot of people are understanding is like with freedom comes responsibility, and if you can't be a responsible adult with the freedoms that you're provided for, they should be taken away.
oh yeah, for sure.
You know?
Because but maybe it's just me too because I've never had put myself in a situation where I thought I've needed to protect myself that way. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
don't plan on it either anytime soon.
Most people in Canada don't, and we do have gun violence here.
Oh
I'm not
yeah, for
saying that
sure.
we're like a bunch of fucking, sunflowers and
Yeah,
roses over here. We do have gun violence here,
of
but
course.
I still walk down the street and don't feel the need to have to fucking carry a gun, you know?
That's the big thing. It's like we don't feel the need that we have to walk down the street with it. Exactly.
Now,
We don't
ask
feel
me
that.
if I lived in New York City after visiting there, if I would purchase a gun. Fucking right, I would.
Well, it's funny. I visited New York City before. I guess just after all of this, when it became
Yeah.
more of like a tourist staple sort of thing. In that sense, I guess if I was 16, I went with Serge, our buddy Serge. You know Serge. You remember Sergio?
Yeah.
I went with him when we were 16 to a wedding down in Newark, New Jersey, and we took the train across to Times Square. Now that was a crazy train ride. I mean, it blew my mind. I mean, I've been on subways and stuff like that here, but nothing like there. It's just the whole atmosphere. I mean, when they say the city never sleeps, it
It
doesn't.
doesn't. But Toronto doesn't either.
I mean, there's parts of Toronto that sleep, but I don't know if New York sleeps at all.
Oh, there's parts of New York I think that sleep too.
Yeah,
I don't
Long
know.
Island, because they got to get up for work in the morning. Sorry, Staten Island, Long Island,
Yeah.
those places.
All right, guys. So let's
So why don't we
without
get into it?
further ado, let's talk about Richard Cottingham, aka the Torso Killer, aka the New York Ripper, aka the Times Square Ripper.
Wow,
So many nicknames for such a dick.
that's a dick. That's where you said you were going to refer to him as such a dick.
I'm referring him to his dick, okay, because his first name is Richard, and that's the hyphen.
Mhm.
Like the acronym for Richard is
Yeah,
people
for
call
instance.
Richard Dick, right? And he just happens to be a fucking ass, big ass dick. So I'm gonna call him Dick. I'm not gonna glorify this guy. I'm not, I think part of the reason that's this guy became a serial killer was, and what we can discuss this more at the end, was because he held other serial killers in such high regard, and they wouldn't be held or famous if the media wouldn't have given them names like the Torso Killer or BTK or the Golden State Killer, or you glorify a fucking guy's name and then all of a
Well, the
sudden
media is what takes it.
right? And then you've got fucking crazy ass stupid followers like this moron. So yes, I will not call him the Torso Killer. I will not call him Richard. I will not call him Mr. Cottingham. I will not call him the New York Ripper. I will not call him the Times Square Ripper. Today we're calling him Dick. And
All
that's
right,
how
Dick.
it's going to go. All right. Dick was born on November 25th, 1946, which makes him either a Scorpio or a Sagittarius. I'm not quite sure. Julie, when she watches this, she can look it up. And he was born in one of my favorite parts of New York, the Bronx.
Okay.
Okay. And then when he was 12, his family moved to Rivervale, New Jersey, which was around 1958.
Okay.
So Rivervale, New Jersey was a very clean cut, very not, I wouldn't say bridle path like Toronto, but more like Forest Hill, right? So it was a very clean cut, high end working family area. It still is today, right?
Okay.
No low end crime. Julie, again. The birthday is
Agreed.
November 25th, 1946.
What is his birthday, Agreed?
November 25th, 1946. I think that makes him a Sagittarius.
It's the one, I think, not the last one of the year, but the second last one, no?
I think it's the one before Libra and Capricorn. I think he's the Sagittarius.
Okay. I can't say 100%. I only know my sign, and that's about it, and what month it
Yeah,
belongs to.
Virgos.
And
So this guy, he didn't have an upbringing like the other serial killers. This guy, if there's ever been a nature versus nurture, like, yeah, see, I was right. He was a Sagittarius. If there's ever been a nature versus nurture argument, to me in this case, there is no argument. This is simple nature, because this guy had a good dad, hardworking in insurance. He was the eldest of 3 kids. His mom doted on him.
Okay.
She was a homemaker. So he grew in high school. He wasn't bullied. Okay. He was a little offset because he was cocky and it bothered people, but he was part of the track team. He did have friends, not many, but a few. Right. And he was really progressive and smart. Right. So once he left high school, he went in 1966. He left high school to work for Metropolitan Life with his dad.
Okay.
Right. During the day as a computer operator. Now, 1966 computers
were
took
massive.
up blocks. They took up blocks, like literally blocks. Okay. And he was a computer operator. Right. And so he was working during the day for his dad, and at night he was taking computer courses. Right. So he was no dummy. He was a progressive guy with a great upbringing, great parents, great siblings, great high school life. Like, this guy had it all. Like, he wasn't, he didn't grow up poor, like he was okay. And he became one of the most like
inner demons,
prolific serial killers of American history. In May 3rd, 1970, he married a Janet Cottingham, and they eventually had 3 kids, 2 boys and 1 girl. In 1969, he had a small charge, and he was charged and convicted of drunk driving. He spent 10 days in jail and a $50 fine. And then in 1972, he was charged and convicted of shoplifting at a department store in New Jersey and fined $50 as well. So, I mean, I don't even know why yes, Shares, he became a big dick. Perfect. Exactly. So
he's throwing her off now, guys.
Yeah. He also had the perfect schedule that worked around. So when he left working for his dad, he went to go work for Blue Cross Blue Shields life insurance as a computer operator there. This is a fantastic job for a fantastic insurance company with a very high paid profession, especially
it was actually,
at the time.
At that time, I was going to say, at that time, it was a big thing.
Yeah. So this guy had nothing, no red flags, no killing animals, none of that shit. None of that. However, he did work from 3 to 11, which left him with the perfect schedule for his hobbies.
You know what? It isn't a bad schedule if you have hobbies like that, right?
Right? Yeah. And it so happens that the insurance company was in Times Square during a time where prostitution was big, where peep shows were big around there. I mean, The Deuce, if you've ever heard of The Deuce, it was like a live sex show thing, like in New York City.
Well,
So,
you know, that kind of is the part that drew me in, to the
of
actual.
course, it
I
would be.
think no, but I think that's probably why they marketed it. They did that on Netflix like that, only because it's something that will draw a bigger crowd when you add
I don't
the
know,
sex
because a
and
lot of
nudity
people
and
are
the
drawn to
history
true
of New
crime,
York.
period. So,
No,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, but it always adds to that bonus of New York's history, and you know what I mean. I get it because
yeah, I
during
mean,
that
like
time there was a lot
today,
of
when you go
crazy
to New York,
people.
right? But if you go to New York City today,
Yeah,
Times Square, it's nothing like that. It's all
mm.
marketing, promos, flashy lights, high end show. There's a Dave and Buster's across the street from fucking Times Square, for
Well,
fuck's sakes. Like,
that's what I mean. Yeah, they
they're
have
all
nice
gone.
things. I
You
mean,
know,
they
they
have
have really nice things. You know, it's
yeah,
like our Dundas Square on Young and Dundas. There, it's like
yeah.
ours is prettier. It's cleaner. New York is, they need to clean
Yeah.
up.
Oh,
They just need to
that's
clean
one thing
up.
I'll never remember when I was there back then.
Oh, it's
That's one thing
dirty,
it
dirty,
was dirty,
dirty,
dirty.
dirty.
But like in the show, like quickly before you go on, but in that documentary, how they showed there's people out in the middle of the night. I mean, we were out at 3 a.m. down there with his cousins, and we were 16. Don't get me wrong, we weren't inside anywhere, just checking out the lights and checking out the scenery. And there's guys holding snakes. You want to take pictures with these huge, huge white snake pythons,
Right,
and
but
I'm
in the
going,
'60s and the '70s,
yeah,
it was hookers and pimps,
yeah,
and
drugs.
it was like Queen Street in the '80s.
Yeah,
Right?
that's crazy,
Like,
man.
yeah, it was really, really, really bad.
Yeah.
So it was very convenient for someone who was such a sex addict as he was,
Mhm.
right, to be working from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. in Times Square, where all these hookers were, right?
Yeah.
Then he also bragged at work about his S&M clubs. So he joined some S&M clubs. If anybody doesn't know what S&M clubs means, sadism and masochism, sexual fantasies for, so
That
they like
happens a lot.
violence and things like that. Well, and
They're
I
serial
don't know,
killers.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all have some twisted sexual fantasy like shit going on in their heads. He bragged about carrying a lot of cash to lure prostitutes to New Jersey. So he's not bragging about killing them to his friends at work. He's bragging about picking them up and flashing money and doing this and that and all these sexual fucking crazy things to them. Um, his first murder happened in 1967 in New Jersey. So he worked in New York in Times Square, but he lived in New Jersey with his family. So he had a double life there, right? Clean cut at home, really nice guy, father, blah, blah, blah. And then
the darkness at night.
The darkness at night, right?
Yeah.
But his first murder was in 1967 in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Nancy Schiavovogel. And what happened was she left one day to play bingo with her friends. Mm-hmm. She was a 29-year-old married woman, so she wasn't a prostitute. Okay. And she was a mother of two. On her way, she stopped at the Valley Fair Department. Mm-hmm. And there was a receipt in the car that proved her timeline of where she went before Richard did.
Yeah.
Dick what he did. So Dick abducts her and takes her to a Richfield Park in her car. Then he beat her, tied her hands up in front of her, raped her, and then strangled her to death with rope. He took her clothes off. And this is part of his MO. He took her clothes and folded them neatly and placed them under her. He then found a blanket she had in her car and covered her nude body. She was missing for 3 days before she was finally found by two 12-year-old girls who from the window of their apartment looked down and saw what they thought was a mannequin. When they got down to the car, they realized it was a dead human body and called the police. Police notified the family and noticed that according to the bruising, she fought back hard. So she was a fighter, man. And you know what? If someone's going to do something, you better fucking believe that they're going to get a beating back. Like, I mean, if I can, they're not going to go unscathed. I'm making sure that DNA is under these fucking fingernails, motherfuckers. Like, um, Dick and Nancy were actually acquaintances before he brutally murdered her because they both lived in the Little Ferry at the time with their families. So, like, they knew each other, like, oh, like, kind of like, the neighbor or, someone from the hood, right?
Yeah.
But nothing like, close or anything. They didn't have a relationship any sort or whatever. But he had a thing for big tits and long brown hair.
Who doesn't? Sorry.
Some guys are ass guys.
I mean, I'm not a blonde hair guy, but
no, but some guys are like
ass guys. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah, just saying. Some guys are titty and ass guys. Doesn't matter. I mean, like, to each their own. But he had like an absurd obsession with big breasts. Like, that was his thing. He loved big breasts. Little Ferry, although it was in New Jersey, it was an easy commute to Manhattan for work by train. So when he married Janet, they rented a small apartment there. Now, even though Dick was married, he continued to have numerous affairs because he says his wife didn't share the same BDSM preference that he did. One of his affairs was actually with a woman named Barbara Lucas. She was kind of into the S&M, but then she broke up with him later on after 2 years because he went a little overboard.
I was gonna say, it's a little crazy. As she noticed.
Yeah.
Maybe grabbed it the wrong way. Did something.
The picture later on, though. She comes back. Yeah.
I'm waiting to hear it. Don't you worry.
1 month before his first child was born, he was arrested for robbery, assault, and sodomy. However, these charges were dropped due to lack of evidence. And his wife believed him, right? Because he was acquitted. So she stayed with him after these charges. Okay. So, like, this is another example about like with other serial killers that we've done in the past. Opportunities to get these guys locked up, and somehow they keep getting away, They're
a little smart. I mean, they're not stupid. So they you would think, I mean, they'd have their opportunities to get away. But there is some stupid ones. I know what you mean.
Yeah. I don't think personally this guy was smart. I don't know what his IQ is. I couldn't find anything on his IQ like the other guys do, but like the other serial killers. But
like you said, he wasn't.
I think this guy was lucky. Life. I think he was just lucky.
Lucky.
Yeah. I think he just got lucky to get away with everything that he did. Yeah. On October 15th, 1973, his son Blair was born. Yeah. And in 1975, Dick's wife and son moved to Lottie in New Jersey. And again, nice area. And the same year, they had their second son, Scott. And in October 76, their daughter, Jenny, was born. Now, after Jenny's birth, Richard started his affair with Barbara Lucas. And he was with her, like I said, for 2 years. Yeah. In December of 1977, Marianne Carr was an X-ray tech. She was a married 26-year-old woman who was on the way to her car to visit her mother-in-law for the weekend because her husband was away. When she got to her car,
Well, keep going. Sorry,
another surprise?
No, something happened. Give me a sec. Just keep going. Keep going.
Okay, so when she got to her car that was in the parking lot behind her apartment building, Dick abducted her and took her to the Quality Inn motel where he raped her, beat her, then strangled her to death. Once she was dead, he severely bit her right breast. Then he dumped the body behind the motel. Her husband actually became a suspect because a witness claimed to have seen a man who looked just like him at the motel acting suspicious. Now, with the documentary that I saw, it's uncanny how alike her husband did look like Dick.
Yeah.
Like they looked like twins. They looked like fucking twins. So can you imagine, this guy would have not just, killed off an innocent woman and raped her, but he could have ruined her husband's life too. But after verifying her husband's rock solid alibi, the case went cold. So they never found out who killed her. Now, the biting, yes, we do. If you guys are wondering, we do have another breast biter here. Another guy who likes to bite and rip off fucking nipples and breasts. I don't know what the fuck it is. This is like 3 serial killers now that we do. Okay.
It's like they're hungry while they're doing this.
What the fuck's wrong with you?
I don't know, man.
We haven't done Ted Bundy, but he's another one who liked to do that. Insane. Like, seriously, another titty biter. Like, what the fuck's wrong with these guys?
Oh, have you noticed anything on the screen change?
Huh? Yes. Thanks, Jules. Thanks, Julie. Perfect.
She's awesome. Now, I was like, what the heck? She goes, look at your phone quick. There you go.
Perfect. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you, Julie. That's brought to us by Julie. Julie's
our tech girl
Julie
here.
Mac Photography. Yeah, she's on our
Julie Mac Photography. She's also on our channel, guys. Yeah, check her out. She does the TikToks cool too. She's awesome. She does so much for the channel.
Designs. Yeah, she's
so
awesome.
Creative. She's so creative.
Go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off there.
No, that's okay. On September 23rd, 1978, there was a pregnant bartender. Her name was Karen Schilt. She left her job at the bar and made her way down the street to another bar down the street for some drinks. Now, she's pregnant and having drinks. I don't know. This is the 70s. Fucking everybody did everything. Like,
it was weird.
Yeah. Dick approaches her at his bar and introduces himself as John Schaefer. Now, John Schaefer was a very common alias that this Dick guy used, and to lure prostitutes and other women, right? He never gave his real name. There were a couple other ones that I will talk about in a bit.
Yeah.
He chats her up and slips some drugs in her drink at around 8 p.m. He asks her if she's a working girl. She says no, but he's still interested anyway. By 9 p.m., she starts feeling sick and leaves her drink at the bar. And because she's drugged, she wobbles down the street. Dick follows her and offers her a ride. So Karen accepts because she thinks in her condition, she won't make it home. So how creepy is this? Like, this guy drugs her, waits for her to attempt to go home fucked up, and then tries to play the knight in shining armor, right? Like, oh, you need a ride home. You don't look too good, honey. Like, let's go home, right? And she's like, oh yeah, I'm feeling horrible. Okay, maybe I did drink too much. Okay, I'll get in the car with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's a nice thought, nice gesture.
In the car, she passes out, but in a bit, she starts waking up again. Dick sees this, and he begins to force her to take a drug called Tylenol. It's like a drug that they used pre-Refinol date rape drug, like pre-roofies, like they used to use Tylenol. And she remembers feeling a burning pain in her breast before she passes out again. Karen was raped and beaten. Dick had burned her breast with a cigarette. So that's the burning sensation that she was fucking feeling. And bit down on her breast violently before he eventually dumped what he thought was a dead Karen behind the old apartment building he used to live in when he first moved into New Jersey with his wife. Okay. She was rushed to the hospital where she was revived back to life. However, at that time, she couldn't remember what he looked like. She was so fucked up, from all the drugs that he slipped into her.
Yeah.
That, she couldn't remember what he looked like. She was able to remember him from a lineup, but only years later when he was finally arrested.
Okay.
He also stole her purse, coat, and ring. So he was a titty biter.
He's a titty biter.
And he was a trophy collector.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he had a weird obsession with folding their clothes neatly next to them after he did his horrible, horrible, violent shit. Like, I don't know.
He was probably taught to make his bed growing up, and sometimes that kind of stuff just sticks with you. And that's the kind of stuff that, honestly, can get you caught as a serial killer. Those little
that's not
mistakes.
what got him caught.
I get it, but I'm just saying, as a killer, that's the kind of stuff that gets you caught. It's stuff that you don't even think of.
Well, it's the stuff that gives you an MO, right?
Yeah, that too, but I mean, a lot of it is sort of.
Yeah, so that is all a fucking bunch of bullshit. That's what it is. Dick approaches. So October 10th, 1978. October 10th also happens to be my mom's birthday. She's a Libra, just like Julie.
Oh, wow.
Dick approaches Susan Geiger and offers her a $200 for a date. She told him she was all booked up for that night, and instead she gave him her phone number so they could meet up in another day. The very next day, he called her and set up a date and time to meet at a bar near the Queensboro Bridge. There she got up to use the restroom, and Dick, who she thought was Jim because that's the name he gave her, right, orders 2 screwdrivers, hoping that the sweet taste of the OJ that he slips in takes away the taste of the drugs.
The drugs, right? Of course. The bitterness or probably whatever taste it is.
She starts feeling hazy right away. The next thing she remembers is riding in a dirty green Thunderbird where Dick was driving as she flew in and out of consciousness. Yeah. Then she wakes up in a dirty hotel room to Dick sexually assaulting her. Sorry. She was whipped by a green garden hose. So this guy even bought parts of a green garden hose, like his sadistic mind. Like, seriously. And she woke up. That's a weird whip. Yeah, right? But fucking painful. Can you imagine getting whipped by it? Huh?
Yeah, you would think. I would think.
Oh. She was she woke up the afternoon of the 12th, 2 days later, on the floor. So she was in and out of consciousness for 2 days, getting raped and beaten.
Wow.
Okay. And when she woke up in the on the floor of the airport hotel in New Jersey, bleeding from her breast, face, and rectum. Her earrings were literally ripped and torn from her ears, and she noticed her purse missing. She called, so he left her for dead. This is another victim that he left for dead. She called the police, and when they got there, they found a towel with semen. However, this is 1978, so if you're not in the system, you can't fucking compare the semen for DNA, right? But what it did reveal about him was that he was a type O blood.
Yeah, so that's a rare one.
So they did keep this evidence in mind because later on, what happens is they contest this evidence against other victims, right? At the hospital, they link Susan to Karen because they find the 2 big similarities. First, they discover Susan is pregnant as well, but she didn't know.
Okay.
And so, but Karen knew she was pregnant. And then they both have similar bite marks on their breasts because he's a titty biter.
Yeah.
Right. So in the hospital, that's when they link the 2, right? Now here's the gruesome. Here's what made him be called. These next 2 cases are what made him be called the torso killer or the Times Square killer. Because up until now, he's only killed 2 prostitutes from Times Square, right? And 2 women. Right. 2 women from New Jersey. right?
From New Jersey.
New Jersey. You see, they call it Jersey. They don't call it Jersey. They don't pronounce R's in New Jersey. um, on December 1979, firemen are called fire in a hotel near Times Square. And here's what they find. The smoke was so thick that one of the firemen tried to pulled one of the bodies out to try to give it CPR, only to look up just before he's about to breathe into the mouth and realize there's no head. So he's about to give the body CPR, mouth to mouth, and realizes, where's the head?
It's a weird, you know what? I would think too back then it wasn't such a big it wasn't probably known as such a popular thing or something that a killer would do, right? When you come across something like that, and especially if you're a detective that's never seen something like that before, it's gonna.
This wasn't a detective; it was a fireman.
Or even worse. I mean, the firemen have seen a lot of crazy shit, but mostly burnt bodies, right?
He actually said till this day he spent years remembering that trauma and having to seek psychiatric help for that trauma.
Oh, I can imagine.
The second body was found decapitated and mutilated as well. Both bodies, with their heads and hands were removed, were dosed down with lighter fluid. The cut wounds were superficial, meaning that Dick cut them for the sole purpose of torturing his victims. So he used a knife not to kill them, but to torture them.
Fucked up.
The missing body parts have never been found. Till this day, he's still alive, and he's
still never found them, eh?
No, and he refuses to tell anybody where they are. He carried them out in duffel bags, just out of the hotel room, like nothing. Hi, how are you? As he fucking just lit up the two fucking torsos that are in his room. It's crazy. One of these victims was identified as, right? Like, one of these victims was identified as Dita Goodsari, but only one of them had been able to be identified. The other one, no identification. And the only reason that they were able to identify that she was a 22-year-old Iranian high-class sex worker, because her friends recognized her clothing. So what the police did to identify...
That was crazy, yeah.
Yeah. So what the police did, guys, to identify the bodies of these headless and handless women was they took the clothes that were on these victims and they posted them on mannequins at the precinct so that people can, and took pictures of it and posted it in newspapers and so on, so that the people can see, do you recognize this outfit? Do you know this outfit? Someone come. And one of her friends came forward and recognized it, and it was confirmed that it was Dita Goodsari.
That's crazy.
It's pretty
the way they did it.
Police. Yeah.
Well, you know what? That's kind of freaky, though.
What?
Like to go be walking through, wasn't it? I thought it was more from what I thought I heard on the Times Square Netflix thing, was I thought they dressed them up at they dressed the department store mannequins up.
Yeah, but not in the department store. They took the mannequins to the precinct. Yeah.
Oh, but I mean that's still kind of creepy too. I mean, if you think about it, and you say, "Can you help us figure out who they are by just their clothes?" That's kind of like something. I mean, it's a smart move.
You have to understand. You also, right? So you have to understand too, in the 70s, there wasn't as much fast fashion as there is today. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah, he is a sick. They're all sick, Rob. They're all incredibly sick. It's why I have a show.
This is what Leslie does, man.
Yeah. So, you have to understand also in the 70s, it was easier to identify an outfit because there wasn't as much fast fashion as there is today. So, I mean, there were a lot more unique pieces of clothing. And when you're in a community of prostitution, you have girlfriends there, you don't have a lot of money to be purchasing your own clothes, right?
No.
So you all share clothes.
Yeah.
Right? So,
they recognize
but
shit.
the second victim has never been identified, not even today. She's never been identified. No. But we'll go back to Dita because her daughter comes into the picture after. But let's wait till the end and we'll come back to Dita.
Okay.
So now the cops are starting to think that this piece of shit has done this before. And they begin to link these murders to the following. Helen Skies, who is a teenage prostitute from Times Square and had gone missing since January of 79. And Valerie Ann Street, a 19-year-old prostitute who was found May 5th, 1980. She was cuffed behind her back, covered in bite marks, and beaten around her shins. The bite marks on one of her nipples was so bad, JT, that it was nearly severed out. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was horrible. He strangled her to death. And Valerie had only been in New York City for 4 days. She had recently moved to Florida and moved from Florida. And Valerie's murder was linked to an earlier murder from the same hotel because Valerie was killed in the same hotel that Marianne Carr, the victim from the the tech girl. Yeah. No, the second one.
Second one, okay.
The tech. Keep choking on your own saliva.
It's all good.
The tech girl that was on her way to go see her in-laws because her husband was away. So they linked those two together because of the bite marks, the way they were beaten, the way they were tied. On May 15th, 1980, the cops are called to another fire in a hotel. There they found the following: a body mutilated and torched, just like the other victims. However, this time, the body wasn't decapitated. Her breasts were completely removed and placed neatly on the headboard.
That's kind of messed up.
So let's look at the escalation so far of where this guy came from. He started from petty theft.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
DUI.
Yeah.
To murdering a housewife. To murdering a tech, an X-ray tech.
Yeah.
And beating her and biting her nipples. To mutilating women and then burning them. And now he's upped it with this victim by displaying them.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't sound like he's that stupid.
Like that Florida guy, the Gainesville Ripper that we just did on our last episode, where he would pose and he took the girl's breasts and placed them on the side. Yeah, so this is what his escalation is. It's like nothing is enough anymore, right?
Yeah.
He just needs more.
It says gratification, right?
Right. It's so fucked up. 25-year-old sex worker named Jean Rayner, who is also from Times Square. She had bite marks on her body, and they were consistent with the other victims. And these ties also linked it to dick face, right?
It's a dick face. It actually says dick face on the paper, guys. I'm reading it. So she wrote it out as dick face. I'm not even joking. Like,
I get emotional when I'm writing my fucking dick.
Yeah, you can see where she presses harder with the pencil and where she does it lighter and, bubbly. And then she actually says dick face with a big capital. Dick. Oh my God. That's crazy. That should be
I think there'd be something wrong with me if I didn't get emotionally invested in these people.
Well, you know what? You got to be careful on how emotionally invested you get in them, right? Well, just to write down on a piece of paper.
If I didn't think it, if it didn't, it's why I do this, because I do find their psyche fascinating, but I'm also appalled that someone could actually go as far to do this, right?
It is kind of crazy when you think about it.
Right?
Yeah.
So the media starts to link everything together as well. And
because now like it's a continuous thing, right? So we're looking at the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. 3 decades of killing. Okay. In April of 1980, Dick's wife Janet finally files for divorce. She cites the following. This is her reasons for divorce, guys. He's extreme cruelty, lack of sex since 1976.
Well, he's getting it other places.
When Dick started his affair with Barb Lucas and his daughter was born. So since he started that affair, no more sex with his wife. He didn't spend money on their life's essentials. He only came home around 4 or 5 in the morning when his shift ended at 11. And he frequented many swingers clubs in Manhattan and gay bars.
Okay.
So
I'll be careful with that word. How I go with it.
Well, I love gay bars. But this guy...
Me too.
...had no history of homosexuality. Right? So when I read this, it started making me think, were there male victims? Right? Because the cops could have easily just looked into all female victims to link them to him and not looked at the history of male victims.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it all depends, right? On the power struggle, on a power thing.
Not that it matters now, because he eventually got sentenced to forever in jail. But I mean, it just makes you think, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he's oversexed, right? Obviously. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it may be, he may not be gay or, like, and just oversexed and just wants sex in every freaky way that he possibly can have it, right? Or maybe the reason, there's so many ifs and ands that he has not answered. So if, like I said, if I were the interviewer, that French lady that went in there, the French Canadian, I would have had a shitload of fucking more questions to ask, like the important ones, like I noticed here that it's documented that you frequent gay bars. Would you consider yourself gay or straight? And did you kill any male victims? Right? And is the reason you're killing all these women because you resent them for being women and prefer men? Like, it doesn't, because these questions are never answered. He's never answered any of these questions, nor has any of this information ever been divulged.
Well, see, that's where where I say about the oversex thing, especially back in that time when they had all the peep shows and they had the sex shows and they had all that crazy shit, and you could start getting people to do whatever you wanted as long as you kept feeding the machine, right?
Yeah.
And now that there's the internet, you don't have those dirty places anymore. You don't have that stuff. So a lot of people, I mean, there's people that seriously get oversexed, maybe even in their head without even having the sex, just because there's certain things that get them off online, right? Like, I mean, I could see where it escalates. I've not escalated, but I've changed different porn styles, if I like to say. I'm not going to admit, but it's not going to make me a killer or anything. But you know what I'm saying in that sense? Like, I can see where, that one doesn't get you off
over-sexualization, anymore. Right? But, I mean, it just raises the questions because nobody knows why he's killed all these women, right? What's the motive? Right?
Yeah, what is the motive? Yeah.
And eventually he does give some sort of a motive, but I don't buy it. Okay? And we'll get into that after.
Yeah, you could say as much as you want when it comes to kind of motive, but it's hard to really even know, right?
I don't know. With the news of this potential divorce, Dick went apeshit again and decided someone had to pay. So in May 1980, Dick spots a young 18-year-old Leslie Ann Odell.
Oh, she had your name. She had your name.
Yeah, she did. Now, she was working on the corner of Lexington and 25th Street in New York. And she was only a sex worker for about a week before she met Dick. She had moved from Washington and was one of the many women, unfortunately, that moved to New York for a better life. And the minute they got off the train from their towns, there was a pimp waiting to recruit.
Oh, of course.
Right? So that's what happened to her. And Dick knew the situation. And Dick introduces himself as Tommy this time and offers his assistance to escape her pimp in New York City.
Okay.
Again, playing the knight in shining armor, right?
Yeah.
Let me take you to New Jersey for a better life. And Leslie agrees. And he drives her to Jersey, where they find a diner, and he buys her steak. At some point, she agrees to have sex with him for $100. So he takes her to the same hotel where he left his last mutilated victim. You see what I mean by him not being very smart?
Yeah.
Yeah, not very fucking smart.
No, he's not all 100% all there. He might. It could have been the lifestyle, like you said, that he grew up in. He didn't grow up in that maybe street smarts lifestyle.
Ballsy move, but not very smart. Ballsy move, though. Ballsy move. I'll give him that. But he was a narcissist. He was a narcissistic piece of shit who was a big dick. So fuck him. Right? Dick tells her to turn Tommy down, where he starts to massage her. And sorry, I was looking at the comments, guys. He starts to massage her, and then he pulls out a knife to her neck.
Yeah.
And then he turns her around and cuffs her, hands behind her back, and begins his reign of torture on her, including biting on her nipples again, right? As he's touching her, he says, "Take it." And this is a direct quote. Take it. You have to take it. The other girls had to take it, so you have to take it too. You're a whore, so you have to be punished. He says that to her.
Hashtag that one, Lewis.
Yeah. You hashtag that one, Lewis. Hashtag that one. He'll send you over the notes.
He's too crazy.
Her screams. Yeah. So her screams were so loud that the hotel staff rushed to the room and demanded Dick open the door. But Leslie was smart, because all Leslies are smart.
Okay.
Dick forces Leslie. Dick forces Leslie to open the door.
I bet it does.
And he tells her with a knife pointed at her side to say that everything's okay to the staff. Now remember, the staff just found a few weeks prior a mutilated, torched body.
Okay.
Right? So they're already very sus, what's going on. Right? So when Leslie opens the door, she says the words, "Everything is fine." But with her eyes, she starts moving them to side, right? Mm-hmm. To indicate that everything is not fine. Right?
Smart girl.
And to indicate that she's in distress. So the staff pretend with her that everything's okay. They walk away and they call the cops right away.
Nice.
Okay. I forgot to add something about what happened here. While they went to go call the cops, there were 2 guns that he had in his like suitcase of torture tools, right? Okay. However, these guns weren't real guns. They were replica guns. And when she closed the door, she turned around and saw one of them on the floor and grabbed it. Remember, she's not drugged like the other ones. Mm-hmm. She's all here, right? She grabbed it, and then he starts laughing and says, "It's not even a fucking real gun." But, right? So she throws the gun, right? She's freaking out. They're fighting. He's torturing her. She's fighting back. And then she's like, they know, they called the cops, right? And as soon as he figured out that she, indicated to the hotel staff that, cops were coming, he makes a run for it. But he makes sure to bring his suitcase with him. Okay? So he packs all his funny torture, tools and brings his suitcase and starts dashing down the hall. And as he's trying to escape, he's caught by the cops on the way out with his suitcase full of torture tools. When they arrested him on site, in his suitcase, there were handcuffs, leather gag, 2 slave collars, 2 switchblades, 2 replica pistols, and a stack pile of prescription sedatives.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell me that's not a fucking murder kit there.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Now, tell me why you're going to do a documentary on Netflix about a and hide half of the information I just have here.
Well, it's funny. I'm going, when is she ever going to get to the information that I seen on Netflix?
Right? I'm giving you everything that wasn't on Netflix. Why?
I know. I'm going crazy. I'm going, holy fuck. Because, guys, don't forget, it's 15 pages, guys. So that's always the best part about it. Like Leslie, you can hear her flipping the pages. I got them on the screen over here, so I'm kind of good. I can see them.
Yeah, I sent them to her video pics, right, into his email. So, yeah. Now, during the interrogation,
to my email.
What? Yeah, I did.
Send pictures of dick to my email. Thank you.
Yes, I did.
All right, there you go.
During interrogation, Dick claimed that the sex was consensual and that he agreed to pay $180 for it. Dumbass. That's fucking stupid, dumbass. They pretended to be compassionate towards Dick, which led him to react with the most theatrical display of crocodile tears. I'm just so heartbroken. My wife is about to leave me, and blah, 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 sob story after sob story after sob story. I have a real problem with women.
So do I. No.
The encounter, the subject got so out of hand because I was upset with my wife who wants to leave me. Such a robotic view of towards his victim. So he can't even call his victim, she, her, or Leslie, right? Okay. He says the encounter with the subject. He called her a subject. That's how robotic and mechanical his way of thinking is towards these crimes. It's just
Well, they were nothing to him, apparently.
Yeah, well, it was just a means to satisfy his ends,
They were objects. That's all they were.
Eventually, he realized the cops had so much evidence against him that he shut up and lawyered up. Upon further investigation, the police went to the Cottingham family home. So they went to his wife's house, and they found the following. A private locked room in the basement where only Dick had the key. In the room, they found the personal effects from his victims, so his trophies, including a small koala bear that belonged to Valerie Ann Street, and the broken earring and key belonging to Mary Ann Carr. At this point, the police from all the different jurisdictions in both New York and New Jersey started sharing their cases and similarities, and Dick's charges kept growing and growing and growing. Because originally when he got charged, it was just for Leslie, and it was just assault, rape, right? And abduction.
Yeah.
Now you're adding murder, sodomization. There were altogether, there were 25 fucking charges that they charged him with. because they started linking two states, all their jurisdictions, and all these different victims together to his. Right?
That's crazy because I mean, yeah, and it's over three decades, right? So
Right. On October 5th, 1980, Dick pled not guilty to all of his rape, assault, and murder charges. He was held at a $350,000 bond. So before I go on with this, here's my opinion on it. Dear serial killers, if you're watching, okay, if the police and prosecution have concrete proof of your stupid ass violent fucking crimes, why would you like abuse the system, okay, and use up tax fucking dollars and make those poor surviving victims and the families go through a fucking trial by pleading not guilty? Like, seriously, do you think your pleading not guilty is gonna let you get away with all these fucking murders, Dick? You fucking dick. Like, it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling how fucking narcissistically stupid these idiots are. You'll probably, here's a note to self, you serial killers out there, you'll probably even get less time for pleading guilty.
Oh, there you go.
Right? But y'all think you're so fucking smart. You're not. You're all a bunch of fucking morons who get caught and do her stupid fucking bullshit to all these poor fucking people who don't deserve any of it. So fuck you guys. Idiots.
Wow.
Seriously, because you're not just making the victims that you killed, raped, tortured, and murdered victims. Their families are victims too. And you're putting all these fucking people through more fucking hell because your cocky, narcissistic piece of shit ass thinks they could still get away with it. No, you don't. You don't get away with it.
No, it doesn't work like that. But it seems to work like that a lot of times.
Sorry, that was my little rant.
It's okay. You're allowed to get it off here.
Yeah. So he was held at a $350,000 bond. When he got back to his cell, he breaks his glasses and tries to slice his wrists. And this was the first out of 3 unsuccessful suicide attempts on Dick's part, including the one in court in front of a jury where he smuggled a fucking razor in and slit his wrist in front of the jury. Okay. And then in another trial, because he had, remember, he had 4 trials. He had trials in all these jurisdictions for all these different victims. Okay. But initially, he was only charged with 5 murders.
Okay.
In total, since he's been incarcerated, there's been 11 linked to him.
Wow.
And he says he's killed anywhere between 80 to 100.
That's crazy, eh? If you think about it. I mean, that's over a 30-year span, but no wonder his wife didn't want sex. Didn't get sex. Like, really, man. I mean, he was getting at the rate that he was doing it. He was getting it once a month, man, at least. Oh, it's just disgusting to think of it like that, man.
So you want to get even more mind blown? Check this out. During his trial, his wife withdrew her divorce in order to testify and defend him. Girl, you're not getting laid. He ain't giving you money.
He ain't paying the bills, obviously.
He's cruel as fuck, so he's a total dick to you. Dick's a total dick too. And you withdrew your divorce to defend his lying, raping, murdering ass? The fuck's wrong with you? Seriously. No, she wasn't. No, she wasn't.
Just, like, you can't even use that as an excuse because she wasn't. That's kind of funny that I couldn't.
However, his mistress, Barbara Lucas, she was really happy to testify against him. So the wife was on his side, but the mistress she was ready to fucking. That table's taking a beating. I know. I keep smacking on it.
Straight up, man. I'm here. I'm just going, oh, wait. That poor table.
You glad it's not the table and not JT's bald head?
Yeah. Fuck. You guys so mean.
She testified about his sadistic. So Barbara, the mistress, she testified about his sadistic sexual interests with her, and how they got out of hand. And his co-workers also testified against him. They testified that on his sexual confessions, and confirmed he would sneak out during his work hours and sneak back in. And while he sneaked out, he would go collect prostitutes, and also that he would occasionally steal from his coworkers too. So he was add rapist, murderer, violent beater, and kleptomaniac to the list.
But weren't they saying one of the guys was saying he was you would never have suspected something like this from a guy like that, really? Like the guy that he worked with?
Yeah, because originally they thought, so his buddy from work, right, from the documentary, right, nobody thought that he could murder people. They just thought he was one of those people that you work with that thinks they know everything, right, and just talk a lot of shit, because he never told them about the murders. He only bragged about like the wads of cash showing to prostitutes and what he would do to them. That's all he bragged about to his coworkers. Yeah. He didn't brag about no murders. He didn't brag about any of that shit. Right?
That's crazy.
So does anybody know Russian?
No.
No?
I'm trying to figure that out too. Could be saying help me or something. I don't know.
Google Translate that shit.
I thought about that last episode. I honestly did, because I was like, because they were talking about how there's all that stuff going on down there, and I was like, maybe it's somebody from like in that part of the country saying help us, because it's the same word all the time. But
yeah,
so whatever, not a big deal.
So on June of 1981, Dick was convicted of 15 out of 21 felonies. He again tried to out himself back in his cell by drinking 6 ounces of liquid of antidepressants. He was transported to the hospital where, thank God, the doctors were able to stabilize him. And the reason I say, oh, thanks, Julie.
Thanks, Julie.
The reason that I say thank God they were able to save this motherfucker from his suicide attempts is because suicide, this is my opinion, and it may be an unpopular opinion to most, but this is still my opinion. I'm against the death penalty, not because I don't think it's what people deserve. I think because living your life suffering pathetically in a jail cell, in a 4x4 little fucking room for your fun. To add to that, I hope you get claustrophobic, okay? And put yourself through endless mental torture in that fucking room for serial killers like this. Because dying is easy. And you
Depends.
Like, you're so narcissistic that you think you have the right to choose of when you die. Did all your fucking victims choose to die? No, you took that choice away from them. Fuck him. Fuck him, fuck him, fuck him. Fuck him. I'm glad they saved his ass just so he can sit there in his jail cell and fucking rot. He's 76 there. He's still rotting today. Since I'm 40 years old. Since 1981, he's been in jail. 40 years.
Nice.
So,
it all depends. If you have the death penalty, you should at least, the victims, families or whatever, or something should get to pick the way they die. I would think that'd be cool. But that's just my opinion.
Okay, side story on death penalty now. I was recently, actually a couple of days ago, I was looking up death penalties in the U.S. because in Canada it's banned, right? We don't have the death penalty here. And rightfully so, I think, in my opinion. But in the U.S., not all states have the death penalty, but many of them still do, mostly southern states. In California, they abolished the death penalty, but then reinstated it. I don't understand, but whatever.
I think that's from one of the guys.
The reason, And the reason people stay on death row for too long is because pharmaceutical companies, like with the lethal injection, overcharge on purpose the jails for the medication to kill them. And in some states, they've banned the electrical chair. So the other two options are, some states still do hangings.
Yes.
They're still allowed to hang. And in some states, they're allowed to get shot to death by an army, like an army of people, like they did back in the day in England. Like in Russia, they still do. Yeah.
I think they should just, say if they're overcharging.
It's so interesting to read.
If they're overcharging for the medicine, I think they should just,
really,
fuck it. Take the needle and just put air in the vein. That'll help.
Right?
They'll suffer a bit. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Like the toolbox killer tried to out himself that way.
Yeah,
Remember?
So, yeah.
Oh, well. So Dick was finally sentenced to between 173 to 197 years in prison. And he's not eligible for parole for at least the first 30. I know the guy's never going to get out of there. Now,
he's not going to live to 190.
He's 76, right? So fuck him. Yeah. Now, during the trial, Dick tried to escape.
Really?
Yeah, during the trial. He literally tried to escape, and he actually made it outside of the courtroom. When all of a sudden, one of the cops that was part of the whole thing and recognized him, caught him and dragged him back in. Yeah. I'm telling you. Thank God he caught that moron. Now, in 2010, he pled guilty. So 2010, he started confessing again. And he finally pled guilty. And this is the only murder he's pled guilty to. Okay? And he confessed to the murder of Nancy Vogel, right? The first victim from 1967. Yeah. In 2021, last year, he confessed to 2 more murders. The 2 murders of the New Jersey schoolgirls from 1968 to 1969 in return for immunity from prosecution. I don't get it. You already got 200 years. You think that if they add a more, you'll never get out of jail? Like, what makes your narcissistic fucking brain think? Like, dude, just start confessing. Give me all your 100 people. Like, there's a lot of families, that need some closure here. Start chatting up. You got nothing else better to do. You're never going to have anything else better to do. What do you think? You're going to get back out with Barb? She don't want your ass. Like, I don't understand. So here's what happened to these 2 poor teenage girls. Marianne Pryor was 17 and Lorraine Kelly was 16. They went shopping for bathing suits at Paramus Hall. He abducted the girls that were hitchhiking towards the mall. So they were hitchhiking towards the mall. Again, this is 68 and 69. Hitchhiking was quite a normal thing. Okay. He forced Marianne into a hotel room by threatening to hurt Lorraine. He raped them and then tied them up at night to keep them from running so he could sleep. So this is before he was married, because remember, he only got married in 1970. Okay. Yeah, so he would tie them up at night so they could sleep. Once he was done with them, he drowned them in the bathtub and then dumped them in the Montvale. I'm not in New Jersey.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and they were 17 and 16. So this guy wasn't just a torso killer. This guy wasn't just the New York Ripper. And he wasn't, dude, he was just a sadistic fucking murderer. And none of these fucking names that they give him are even, I mean, why? Because he did 3 mutilations. I mean, out of 100 people that he killed, that makes you the fucking torso killer or the New York Ripper. Yeah, it's the fucking media. And you know what? Media got it wrong. Okay? He's just a dumbass dick. That's all he is. Okay? He's a dumbass fucking dick. Dick's a dick. Dick. Dick, 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 dick. That's all he is. Penis, breath, piece of shit. That's all he fucking is.
I think you've said more about penises today than I've said anything bad on the show, period. That's crazy, guys.
Yeah, but it's okay to
Sorry.
talk shit about serial killers. It's not okay to talk shit about anything else. Okay, I can call a serial killer a piece of shit dick because he is dick.
Whoever's in the other room is probably going, what the fuck is she talking? All she yelling is dick, 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 dick.
They all know. Cottingham has admitted to 9 other murders since he was arrested. However, no one has been able to prove them. So he's linked himself, but because, so many years have gone by, there's no concrete evidence that can link them all together.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't the end. Yeah. There's some fucking shit that went down after he was, and I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget because this is quite an important piece. Okay. Besides the French-Canadian interviewer, he's only spoken to one other outsider, and that is one of the torso victims' daughters. Her name, the one that they found the clothes and were able to identify her as the Iranian prostitute.
Yeah.
Her name was Dita, and she had a daughter whom she gave up for adoption. And she was raised by a very loving family. However, one day she decided to know more about her biological parents and decided to make her way to the adoption agency, where she found out her mother's horrific ending. Mm-hmm. Coincidentally, the adoption agency is situated in New York City, exactly across from where the serial killer penitentiary is, where Richard Cottingham, the guy who murdered her mother, is. Just across the street, literally from, just across the street.
Hop, skip, and a piss away.
Yeah. So after she finds this out, she eventually decides that she needs more answers. Mm-hmm. So she befriends Dick. The daughter of his victim has befriended him. And she not just befriends him, they write letters to one another. They have pictures all over the internet of them hugging one another. It's the most disturbing friendship I've ever seen in my life. Like, I think it's easier for her to create friendship with him because she never knew her mother. So maybe there was no bond there because she never knew her mother, right? Her biological mother. She was given up for adoption, right?
Yeah.
However, her excuse for this is because she says after all these years, she's still trying to get Dick to let her know where her mother's head is.
Now, I think it's special.
At first, I believe this girl, there's something disturbing about her, and it doesn't. I mean, I don't know. The French-Canadian girl doesn't have the connection with him that obviously this girl does, right? Mm-hmm. But she's not, you can tell she's not morbidly obsessed with serial killers, the French-Canadian interviewer. She's befriending him, but not befriending him in a hugging, let's take selfies together. There's a picture of Richard Cottingham, right, in jail, and she's choking him, and they're going,
that's kind of weird. What do you think about it?
Yeah, man. I don't think you're just trying to find out where your mom's head is. I think there's some more morbid fucking shit going on in your brain, and it's fucking freaky.
Daddy issues.
I don't know, man, but apparently she was raised with a very loving family, but her father's name wasn't on the birth certificate, and this is where it also gets interesting. Oh. Jennifer, her name is Jennifer, and she believes that Dick may be her father.
Yeah.
And the reason she thinks that is because Dick told her that he knew her mother for 2 years prior to murdering her.
Oh, wow.
And there have been baby pictures that she's posted up of her as a baby and of Dick. And there is a slight similarity, but that don't mean shit until you get a DNA test done, right? So now she's just trying to save up money to go through the whole DNA process. And he's already said he would happily give up his DNA.
Could you imagine though?
I don't know, man. So I think that, and again, that's another reason why I think that is not just befriending him to find out where her mother's head is. Another reason why I think she kind of wants him to be her father. Like, really, I think that's why she's befriended. Like, dad, like, yeah, like, dude, man.
And then she's gonna carry on the legacy, or whatever you want to call it, whatever he did. Maybe not a legacy.
I don't know. Even in the interviews, she doesnn't seem like a very mentally stable human. I could be wrong. I could just be reading it wrong because, fuck, I'm not right all the time. But I don't know. There's something off about her. There's something.
Did you just say I'm not right all the time?
I did.
Oh, well, we'll have to mark the time down in this thing so we know where that's.
Yes, Julie, snap that. Snap that. So anytime, you know.
I'm not always right, but when I am right.
When I am right.
Stats.
That's right. So that's the story of Richard Dick Face Cottingham.
So what did you find that was so different in your research than what you've seen on Netflix? Like, besides the glorifying of the city and stuff, are you talking about like the time and the the history that was going on there? Because there was a lot of serial killing going on in the 60s and 70s that was during the times it's like Son of Sam, like they said, and shit like that, right? So what did you find that was different? Like, I think from the research that you actually had, that you actually physically looked up, or what you seen in your book, compared to what you seen on Netflix. I mean, I seen a lot from what you wrote. There was a lot of difference than Netflix. But what didn't you like about the whole Netflix one? Besides that, is that the whole thing? I didn't see that last episode.
I enjoyed the documentary as a whole. Like, I thought it was interesting. It did get me captivated. It was entertaining. I'm not saying guys don't watch the documentary on Netflix. It's quite entertaining. What I was disappointed with was that there's so much information on these victims and how he murdered and how he wasn't just the Times Square killer. And instead of focusing on the victimology to give respect and honor the victims, they decided to make it a documentary of what Times Square was at the time, mixed in to what he did because of what Times Square was at the time. Another thing I disagreed strongly with the documentary about was the fact that they actually came out and said that because of all this prostitution, that linked up all this violent crime.
That's where you come into the nature and nurture part. No,
here's my argument with that. Like I said, there are many other places in the world where prostitution is legal.
Okay.
Right? Where sex clubs are legal. Right? Where swingers clubs are legal. Where peep shows are legal. I mean, and they don't have this kind of violent crime going on. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So they're basically blaming the fact that they're victim blaming. Do you get what I'm trying to fucking say? Like, in my eyes, it almost felt like they were victim blaming. Well,
so you're thinking that they were blaming
all of these people.
The babies?
Yeah, because I mean, like,
victims. Sorry.
Right, because basically what they're saying is, if New York didn't have all these prostitutions, they wouldn't be dead today. Right? And that's not the case. If you would have identified a serial killer, these people wouldn't have been dead today.
Well, that's the thing too. It was weird too how they said that, because it was around those times. It was related I mean, those times had a lot of the crime families and stuff, like they said
Right, but
around those times. But
you
those
tell
guys would
me,
have been serial killers too, right? Or, you know what I mean, in a sense.
right, but you tell me why that guy who like bought all those buildings and made all those peep shows and made all those sex clubs and made all those like porn movie theaters needed to be in a documentary about a serial killer that she had no link to whatsoever.
I guess, yeah, you're right.
Do you get what I'm
like I
trying
said,
to
but
say?
they were also trying to glorify New York, right? They were trying to make
Right.
New
So
York
they
look
were
better
trying,
than it was
right.
too,
And the
right?
whole thing of it, and like, this is where I go. It's like, it's kind of like the argument with, like, you know, those kids that go shoot up schools, right? They blaming it on video games. How many people in this world play video games and don't go shoot up schools? Everywhere around the world, kids are playing video games, not just the US of A, right? And none of them are going to school and shooting them up.
Yeah.
I think what has to happen here. Oh, there's another stupid Russian comment there. Get it out. Block
They
the
keep
idiot.
popping up in the middle anyway, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I do.
So like, just if you look at it this way, this guy is definitely a nature. He wasn't nurtured. He didn't nurture his way to serial killing. This was nature. Like, there was something fucked up in his brain. Some wires crossed there. Someone banged his head somewhere along the line or something. This is mental, right? But I think that's where my argument lies. A lot of people might agree. A lot of people might disagree. I personally think prostitution should be legal all over the world. It's the oldest fucking profession there is. Like, I mean, if it were legal, there would be more laws to actually protect women too who are in there. This way, there's no way to protect these women because it's illegal of what they're doing, right? And then that's why they're crimes. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
We're not saying just women. We're not just saying women. We're saying everything, right? Like anybody that wants to
anybody who wants to go into that profession, it's work, right? Like, it's work, and it's the oldest profession in history, right? And people are judged for it. And you know what? The same people are judging it probably are the ones who pay the most for it.
Yeah, we should start it. We should start a union for them.
Yeah, I agree. With union benefits.
Benefits, everything, eh? Massages, all that stuff.
It's great.
Just funny how I just thought of that. It was just like, yeah, we'll get them a union. They can be working safer. But I get what you're saying when you're saying safer.
Right? And it's just like weed. You know, you've legalized the drug now, right? Mm-hmm. Now there are laws to make sure that the drugs that are being distributed are clean, right?
You're correct. Yeah. Clean,
I mean,
the right way.
There's still a long way. There's still a long way in order to make it, yeah, right. But there's still a long way to make it accessible, financially accessible as it is like buying off the street, because buying off the street is still cheaper than buying off, cafes and whatnot, right? But until that's not done, you're not going to get rid of drug dealers, right? Or weed dealers. Drug dealers will always be around, whether weed's legal or not. But because they'll just sell other drugs, right? But at least marijuana, the most used drug, is. Oh, you're frozen again. Okay, yeah, now you're good. Marijuana was just probably the most used drug and less harmful compared to cocaine, heroin, any like party drug or pharmaceuticals, right? I mean, it's just weed. It's a natural plant and it gets you high, and yeah, there are side effects, but hey, you can't OD on weed. It's virtually impossible. You can't die of an overdose of marijuana, right? So, I mean, and it's got a lot of health benefits too. So it depends. But either way, legalizing it was the right thing to do, I think. I mean, think about how costly it is just to try people for a fucking dime of weed. How much of your tax dollars are going towards trials of marijuana back in the day? Jail cells, that's all money that's coming out of taxpayers' dollars, right? To put someone in jail for a fucking dime of weed. I don't know. I get the cocaine thing. Cocaine will kill you. I get the crack. I get the heroin being illegal. I totally get all that. I pro illegal it, but Same as prostitution, right? I mean, like, if you legalize it, there be laws to protect women or men or any prostitute. In that way, it'll be safer.
Who would
Hence,
have
less
thought
crime.
we would have been sitting here discussing after the killer content part? But who would have thought that we would have been discussing if prostitution should be legal? I thought you'd be arguing me or something like that. But you're like totally. I get where and I totally see where you're coming from when it comes to that, like, and the whole safer part and all that shit too, because
You legalize something, there are laws to back it up. It's just the way it always goes, right?
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, you get rid of the pimps.
The pimps and the Johns.
The pimps are more the problem than the actual prostitute.
Yeah, a lot of them were. They were sending him into sketchy situations and all that crap. I mean,
fucking right.
But there was also a lot of, and I don't get it. I just couldn't, like, that's another thing I didn't get from the documentary at that part too. I was like, why are they going to show how many of them there was there, how many prostitutes? They kept emphasizing.
Like I said, it's the only thing that threw me off about it.
Yeah.
Did you know half of the victims that I mentioned in this?
No, I knew the beheaded ones, and I knew the other one that was burnt.
But you didn't know the ones from Jersey. You didn't know the young teenagers because they weren't even mentioned in the documentary.
I'm surprised though. Why? It's because they wanted to talk about New York, right?
You know why? Because Leslie Stats isn't writing for Netflix. Okay, that's why.
No, but you know what? New York sells. I guess that's what it is. Crime sells. Don't get me wrong. Serial killer content and stuff.
But that's exactly what it kind of felt like towards the end. It felt like they were selling the city, right?
Yeah, they were saying how bad it was and how good they cleaned it up now, and it's this big tourist attraction and this
bullshit. I've been there since they've cleaned it up, and it's not ugly. I'm still not safe at 3 in the fucking morning.
You know what? At 3 in the morning, I don't know if you should be in the middle of Times Square. I mean, maybe there because people, but I don't know if you should be wandering the streets in New York at 3 in the morning, let alone the city of Toronto. But New York, it's like South. I mean,
no, city of Toronto, I can wander at 3 in the morning on these streets and not feel unsafe.
But I can see where everybody, like they said in that show, in that documentary, blends in. Like it's easy to blend into a big city like that because they were huge even back then. That city. I mean, look at the people just walking downtown. I know you get people over here in our city walking downtown and stuff, but I mean, I still, it amazes me when I see the amount of congestion just on the sidewalk alone in
New York City.
Yeah,
on any given time of any given day.
But that's the thing, and then even worse when it comes to fucking the middle of the day when all the high end people are working in the office buildings and stuff. That would blow me away. I can see where people could go missing. I mean, not only prostitutes, but I could see where just about anybody would go missing.
Even today, you also have to understand that back then in Times Square, there were no fucking cameras. You couldn't fucking catch a fucking serial killer on the street. Today, there isn't a blind spot. Yeah, they're everywhere. There isn't a blind spot you can't find with a fucking camera in Times Square or anywhere in Manhattan for that,
Well, we have a bunch downtown too that catch a lot.
Oh, but still nowhere as near as New York City. New York City also got
office buildings. You also got all that stuff that have their security going too. So I mean, there's always something.
Oh yeah.
Right, you couldn't get away with it. You have to really blend. I don't know how you would do it nowadays. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I've thought about it by watching a lot of these documentaries and now listening to a lot of these killers and following them throughout the years. But the thing is, I don't know where they blend, how they can blend in, like, and how they. I mean, nowadays you couldn't get away with it. You couldn't blend in enough without getting caught.
So,
you know what I'm saying?
I know you and I have said this before, and up till I saw that interview or that documentary with the French Canadian girl from Montreal, she also is a professor of serial killers in a university in Montreal, right? So she studies them. You should see the accordion files that she has of letters of all these different serial killers that she interviews back and forth via letters and communicates with. Like, it's insane. She's like really smart and level-headed, you know, like I guess because of what she went through before, that's why it's maybe her way of confronting the bad wolf, you know, for what happened to her. Maybe that's why she chose this career. But something really interesting that she said, and I can't remember the exact number, but today there are approximately 70 active serial killers per year in the US.
Are you fucking serious?
I was shocked. I had no idea. So like
But
we
they're
don't know
talking
who
probably more about gangs. They're talking more about stuff like that
no,
too. Like,
serial killers.
yeah, eh?
Yeah.
Not just no, but I mean gangs about like one person killing a bunch of people or something like that. Like
No, serial killers. We're not talking about Iceman serial killer. We're like how he,
okay.
you know, killed for the mafia.
I wanted to
No.
get that straight. No, but
Yeah,
that's
no.
a lot, man. How the fuck?
Yeah, a year.
That's kind of fucked up, man. Probably live in like rooms like me over here. Fuck.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's kind of freaky, man. When you think about it, like 70 a year. That's like how many would do? What's the math? What's that a month, man? That's like fucking.
I don't know, because some of them get caught and some of them don't. Yeah. Right?
Well, but they're saying on average, right?
So if on average, so like if you're thinking about this, right? Like let's analyze this. Over the decades, besides the Zodiac killer, how many serial killers have never been caught or murders linked to serial killers? So completely unknown serial killers that have continued to kill over and over and over and over.
Yeah, and then sometimes they think that they're linked to like guys like Ed Gein and stuff like that, but they're not because they're linked to somebody totally different.
Right. So like,
maybe
do you remember?
MO.
Do you remember? Did you watch the documentary on Netflix of the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez?
Well, yeah, I've watched a bunch of stuff on Richard Ramirez before.
So watch the documentary. Actually, it's a really good documentary on. It's a different perspective of what happened with him. Yeah, watch it. It's one of my favorite ones actually on Netflix. But so when Richard Ramirez was an active serial killer in L.A. Yeah. There were 5 other serial killers in the LA and surrounding areas working at the same time, killing at the same time. Crazy. So it's like, it's insane. So then I start thinking, okay, yes, I have blamed cops for being stupid before because some of them have, right? Like our Torontonian guys knocking on a fucking door, right? But then you start thinking, right? Like, how, with 5 serial killers and hundreds of murders between these 5 serial killers going on at the same time, do cops even keep up?
Well, it's true. It's true. You can't be staffed for that.
And I'm not talking about 5 serial killers at the same time throughout the U.S. I'm talking about just in the city of L.A. and around. Like that whole area. So like GTA, like Toronto, Mississauga, Tobago, like like
I was just gonna say that,
at the same time. Like, how can you even properly investigate something like that? I don't understand how someone can, or how, like, no matter how many cops you have, because then if you have too many cops, it's almost like they're trampling over one another because they're overload of information. So you never get a proper investigation. And if there are too little cops, there isn't enough to cover all the ground, right? Yeah. So it's like, I don't, that's my little pro cop rant here. I mean, like, props to these investigators who do what they do and catch who they catch, because it's not as easy as what I do and what you do here, where we just get to like fucking talk about the shit that they did and criticize everybody and everything, right? Yeah. I mean, not that some people don't deserve to be criticized.
Well,
right?
Most of these people do, except the victims, but most of these dicks, fucking do deserve to be criticized and picked at. So it's all good. I mean, So, but it's 70. It still blows my mind. No wonder you have a book full.
Oh,
And
and these
that's
aren't
just the
even
people that
current.
don't.
My book isn't even current serial killers. My book is the encyclopedia of. There's just ones that happened in the past. Like there's so many serial, and so now, I think I've already got like my next three lined up. My next three serial killers lined up, right? So now when I'm, because there's a theme every month for me now. Now I'm just like there's guys.
Can you
There's
guess
been
what
so many
next month's theme is?
Valentine's Day, we're a couple.
I
So
thought it
it's
was
like,
Groundhog Day.
guys, you know what's sad? This is the sad truth about this. There are so many fucking morbid, fucked up people in this world that there's enough for me, not just to have content, but to actually categorize them by monthly holidays.
That's crazy, guys. Think about that. Give that a thought. Just literally think about that, man. Because that's kind of fucking crazy when you sit back to think about that. That's a lot of fucking serial killers, a lot of different holidays that you can categorize. Oh my god, it's gonna be interesting. We'll have to figure out which one every month. No, I was talking to somebody too that says he watches the Discovery that Discovery Plus or whatever, and he watches a lot of the serial killer shows on there. Like he had messaged me today for some reason to say, oh, that he watched about the Scream guy, right?
Oh yeah. Did you tell him you did a whole podcast of him?
Yeah, I said, if you would have watched the podcast, you would have known. He's always in here. He might have just not been in that one specifically. But yeah, no. I said you got to check it out, but he says because he loves that shit. He loves the haunted houses. It's that goat guy. He loves all those haunted houses, but he's into like more like paranormal stuff, but not so much as the serial killer stuff he loves too, and the killer stuff he loves too, right? So I'm surprised. I thought he was going to tune in today, but he wasn't feeling up to it. So
yeah, maybe.
But yeah, it's it. I'm still dumbfounded by 70 on average.
Yeah. I almost just want to like track her down. I almost just want to track her down if she ever comes to Toronto to do like a class or something, and just sit in, pay to sit into her class and like listen to what she has to say, right? Because I mean, the way what she teaches is what I'm interested in, which is literally the psyche of a serial killer. That's what interests me, which is why this one pissed me off so much, because he didn't have any fucking psychological bullshit going on in his fucking brain,
Did you Google it, man? What does it mean, Rob?
What does it mean, Rob?
It's gonna mean something. Google those words. We know how to use Google at least. So that's too funny.
Google it.
Julie said, I don't think it's any word, man, at all. To be honest with you, I think it's just
it is
emojis. Is it really?
Yeah, that's what Russian looks like.
I know the name is. I just didn't know about the other stuff. Like, how do you type in that stuff? Like, I mean, you're converting it to English. It's kind of weird, right? So,
yeah.
But guys, I mean, this is a crazy episode of her first episode of her new show, Killer Content Corner. Leslie, you did an amazing job.
Better than Netflix?
Yeah, I know. Fuck, man. Because the problem is, it's hard to keep up too, right? Like, because I'm able to go through the pages, but then as you're talking, you're ad-libbing stuff too in there, and it's throwing me off on the sentence where you were. I'm following along with her because you just sent me this a little while ago, right? So I'm trying to follow along with you, and then I'm trying to remember stuff, but it's like you're going and saying exactly what I'm thinking in my head, a lot of it that I want to ask you, right? So it ends up turning out crazy, man. It really
something in red.
Look. This is what Rob found in one of them.
And the second one is in red. The Vo red is in red. I don't know if you can see that. No, it's too light.
I can't too bright. But that's fucking hilarious, man. Thanks, bro, for Googling. Look at that. We're gonna have to call him Rob Stats now.
That's right. Thanks, Rob.
Google Rob. I'm waiting for my phone to go off because I keep just saying the name Google, saying Google. You know, waiting for the phone to go off. It doesn't actually work like that on the computer, guys. But no, but Leslie, that was awesome. I really enjoyed listening to all your fucking information and trying to, honestly, it was something I really didn't know about. And like I said, I didn't get to the last part of the documentary. And like you did say, it did seem to glorify New York City and stuff like that. So it wasn't so much
Which
of a
isn't a
crazy
bad thing. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It was definitely entertaining. Definitely enjoyable.
Entertaining is what they look for.
Yeah. So guys, if you want to watch that Netflix on the Times Square Killer, it came out like about a month ago. You guys like watch it because it is entertaining. It is interesting. Definitely interesting to see what life was like in a time where thanks, Rob. It is interesting to see what it's like while the serial killer was around. But I think they did it maybe, and then now that I'm reflecting on it, maybe they did it this way to give a reasoning behind why he did what he did, even though he won't admit it, right? Because when he did the interview with the French Canadian girl, she asked him, and he's like, because I just wanted to be the best at something. And I was good at killing, so I could be the best at something.
Well, I mean, at least he...
Which is a sketchy fucking answer. I think he's just being fucking cocky because he's always been cocky, right? And the Bronx accent, which was fucking hilarious, right?
No, but I mean, like, some people are cocky like that. I mean, some people are not just cocky, but some people, maybe that's all they are good at.
Yeah. I don't know.
We don't know what goes on there. Like, it's hard to see through their eyes, right?
He just said, like, because I wanted to be the best at something and I was the best at killing, so I wanted to be the best. So Dick glorified other dicks, right? He looked up to other dicks, right? And he wanted to be the best at doing whatever.
Dick looked up to other dicks. That's the fucking line of the day, guys.
Yeah. Well, why am I going to call him by these all other names? He doesn't deserve to be glorified. No.
He doesn't deserve. No, I know. He doesn't even deserve to have a Netflix series about it. But you know what I mean? In that sense, right?
Yeah. I don't know. We're all entertained by this kind of stuff, right? I mean, it's sad. I mean, think about it. I mean, had we not known about this stuff, we would still be hitchhiking and dying today if the media didn't let us know what happened.
I don't know if we'd be hitchhiking. There is cell phones nowadays, right? Too. So there's a lot that played a part in that. But I get what you're saying.
Do you get what I'm saying?
There is
if
people
we
that still
didn't know
hitchhike.
about what how dangerous hitchhiking could be, we'd all be still hitchhiking today. The only reason we know is because the news has told us what these dicks did, right?
Yeah. It's actually, it is. That played a big part in a lot of it, man, back in the day.
Sure. I mean,
telephone access and stuff like that.
Yeah, but to think that, like people even during the golden age of serial killers, which was the 70s and the 80s, right? That's when people were most hitchhiking, and that's when most of the serial killers were happening, and they were all being reported, and nobody gave two shits. It was all peace, love, free. Yeah, right.
I used to ask them what it was like too, like back in the day too, like after a certain part. They didn't like if your car broke down somewhere on the side of the road and you didn't have a cell phone to call anybody or any way to access, even to walk to a payphone back then would have took forever. So you really didn't have a choice of an option unless you did walk. Some of them sometimes for fucking miles before you hit a next payphone at maybe a gas station if you're right. I mean, I totally understand why they did it, but they didn't see. They thought everybody was so kind still and loving from the 60s, right? They thought it was all peace and love still, but it wasn't. So, but on that note, Leslie, that was thank you for that great episode. I'm gonna end it off the right way at the end. Don't you worry, but I just want to give a shout out to Leslie and a new show. Okay, guys, don't forget to check it out. It's going to be, what did you say, once a month now?
It's once a month, and then every other month I'll shoot the shit with you or Nico or on another show.
There we go. See, if she can deal with me for twice in 1 month, then we'll be good. But we'll see what happens with that before she decides that she wants to pull her killer content corner on me. But
no. Yes, guys.
not on me. So, yeah, guys, don't forget to subscribe to our, I don't want to say sister station, but
Why
what do
wouldn't
we
you
call
want
it?
a
Family
sister station?
channel.
Our
Our
next,
family channel.
our family channel. Yes,
There we
family
go. His
channel.
family. He's in here. He's not in here. He is in here. Don't forget, guys, to subscribe to the Late Night Collectors community, guys. If you want, they got a new
Oh,
show
do I
of.
get to? Do I get to kill JT? Because that's JT's going to get
I'm fucked.
killed.
Hey, you know what? I'll be honest. I know I'm fucked. Like after, okay, he's gonna release some. He's got some new comic shop talk with Chris tomorrow being released. It'll be up on the channel. I'm pretty sure it'll be up on his Late Night Collectors community channel over there. And just like everything else that's on the Late Night Chat Network, it'll be all moved over to Late Night Chat Collectors community. Anything to do with cards, comics, anything collecting, anything that he has, his unboxing stuff, all that fun stuff, right? Weekly Wine Comic Time, guys. There's so many shows to show. So yeah, don't forget to check that out. And yeah, Sunday he's gonna make a return with me on on Late Night Chat, which should be fun, man. It's been a long time coming, so it should be interesting. Let's see if we can get some good laughs and good talk. It's been a while since I've had a chance to talk to him like that. You know what I mean? Live show, everybody interacting with us. It should be interesting. So I mean, we do the here's where they start messing me up, right, when it comes to the promo part. You know, we do a lot of stuff over here. This week we was full of content. If you guys didn't check it out, like we did the cracking packs with the hockey cards yesterday. Team Canada. We did fuck man. We did one on. I did the Bell Let's Talk on Tuesday or Wednesday. I did nothing on Tuesday. I did something on Monday, I think. I can't remember. There was all kinds of stuff that came out this week, guys. So don't forget to go back and check it out. And yeah, like I said, if you haven't subscribed to us, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to, there he goes with that. There he goes with that. You know, if you haven't subscribed, guys, don't forget. Okay, Neeks, can you put
Shit
that
for
fucking
brains, Lewis. Shit for brains.
the link up in there because I don't have the link. Otherwise, I
Sorry,
would put it up in the chat.
Pointing in the wrong direction, I guess, because of the reversal thing. JT's got shit for brains. Hashtag that.
Okay, so it's been an awesome time, and like you said, Leslie, with your killer content show, you are amazing. And guys, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. And yeah, don't forget keep subscribe to our Instagram and our YouTube channel so you guys can keep following our updates and stuff like that. So it's always fun. It's always interesting, and there's always something.
Guys, there's honestly something for everybody. So, I mean, like, subscribe, watch our shows. I mean, there's something for everybody, literally. So,
yeah, straight up.
And for those that are subscribed, thank you so much for your support. We all appreciate it. Thank you.
Anybody wants to hear about Leslie talking about dick today? She can't. You can. If you missed out. So I just want to let you guys know.
Richard Cottingham is now Dick Cottingham. Make that shit go viral. I am more to come. I'm gonna start coming up with my own creative names for serial killers.
Have you figured out which one is
your next one? And y'all know how
yet?
creative I can be with my words.
Or do you want to hold off for that for a bit and wait and let people know in a little while? Because I don't know if you want to tell who you got coming next.
Oh, I'm doing a couple from England, the Moore couple.
Moore couple, guys. So
yeah,
that should be interesting. Are you gonna have an English accent too?
Maybe. It's an oldie though. It's an old timey though. Like this but it's considered one of the most serious serial killer cases in the history of England. So I had to do it. No, Lewis, man.
I'll let you know on our show. Don't worry about
name. We were saying, Lewis, in the beginning of the show, the serial killer's name is Richard Cottingham, and the media glorified a serial killer by calling him the Torso Killer, or the New York Ripper, or the Times Square Ripper. And I decided to give him a shitty fucking name because that's what serial killers deserve: bad names, and it was Dick Cottingham. He's a dick.
The guy's name was Dick, and she's been saying that all episode, and not me, guys. So if you want to hear somebody say Dick besides me, yeah. All right, guys.
I
So
hope someone
thank you.
passes this on to him and maybe he's allowed to watch podcasts on YouTube or something. Look, guy, they did a podcast on you. This bitch is reaming you out.
We should hashtag the prison.
Hashtag yeah. I should look that up. Hashtag the prison.
Find out the prison he's in. Hashtag it and see what happens, man. You never know. You never know. They get internet time over there.
The insults I can give a serial killer. Oh, piece of shit.
Oh, or just you give them fucking ammunition for them when they get out. One or the other. But yeah, guys. But thank you guys again for tuning in and Leslie's first episode of See, I like to throw it there at the end.
I do. It's perfect.
But yeah, thank you again, guys, and thank you, Leslie. I don't know if you had anything else to say on that, but I don't think you did. I think you were pretty much sold on everything you said, man. You had me blown. I just wanted to say, not you blew my mind. So, guys, take care till next time, and we'll see you again soon, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. All right, take care, guys. Peace out.
Peace out. Thanks, guys.